Hello, I'm Frankie, and I would like to welcome you to AIPH's Green City Briefing series. This is the first briefing of this series to feature a winning city from the Green City Awards, and I'm so excited to hear all about their work. Over the next year, we will continue to feature the other winning cities in this series through the forum and in our Green City Global Update. So do sign up to keep in touch. Now for some little housekeeping. To let you know, this is being recorded and you will be able to view the recording afterwards on the AIPH Green City Forum. There is a Q&A function at the bottom of your screen, so please do submit your questions there so that they can be put forward to the presenters in the discussion later. As we welcome people from around the world today, I would like to ask you a quick poll question. This should appear on your screen shortly. Have you experienced the power of plants in city spaces? And finally, I would like to thank our sponsors, the Doha Expo, with their incredible expo that's going to be launched later in this or next year, and that we heard about in the last series. And finally, to thank the continued support from the Worshipful Company of Gardeners. Now, I would like to introduce our MC for today, Bill Hardy. Bill has had many roles and responsibilities within the horticultural industry and has always been an avid involver and supporter of the industry's professional development, education and certification. Bill is active in several industry associations, including the Canadian Nursery Landscape Association, Hort Education BC, Canadian Garden Council and the Green Cities Foundation. Bill is also the chair of our Green City Committee. So we could not ask for a better MC for today. Bill, over to you.
Good morning. Sorry, I had some technical difficulties. Our power was out all night, so I'm just able now to join. And I think it sounds like Francisca did a very good job of introducing the Green City briefings and what we're doing around the Green City. What we're doing around the Green City initiatives with the AIPH. Of course, we have many things going. Including the Green City Awards, which we will be presenting some information from our overall grand winner this morning at the webinar. But first, while I'm catching up here, I'm going to introduce Bishop Ngobeli, Manager of Protected Areas and Enforcement at Johannesburg City Parks and Zoo, founder of Association of Parks and Recreation Africa, World Urban Parks Board member and chair of the African region under World Urban Parks National Forestry Advisory Committee South Africa Council for Natural Scientific Profession Advisor Council. Bishop Ngobeli is interested in advocating for parks and all for greening of Africa. To see every kid in Africa to have a park in the communities and have a livable green community, he supports the need to continue developing open spaces for our communities and greening programs. Will provide benefits far-reaching beyond health and well-being. He is active, giving future generations access to the best quality, vibrant, and equitable open spaces. So I'm going to turn it over to Bishop. Thank you very much, Bishop.
Good afternoon. Let me share my screen. Thanks for the introductions. Thanks so much for AIPH for inviting me. My talk today is going to be about the greening of South Africa. And before I started, I'd like to, from Johannesburg, would like to congratulate Hyderabad, India for being the winner. And we hope that in the next time, our cities in South Africa will be able to enter this competition. Everyone understands the importance of green spaces. It provides good air quality, reduce noise, enhance biodiversity, irregular temperature. Local communities use green spaces for exercising, social interaction. So we know most of the importance of these green spaces, that we need them. The importance of trees, they provide oxygen, trap and store carbon dioxide, stores water and stabilize the soil, protect the soil, provide windbreakers. Those are most of the important aspects why we need trees in our ecosystem and why we need these green spaces in our ecosystem. If you look over over in the whole globe, there's so many tree initiative programs that has been started. The World Economic Forum was saying we will plant 3 million tree initiative. United Nations environmental programs that we're gonna come in and plant 1 billion trees. The Bond Challenge said, you know, by 2030 we'll be able to restore forests around about 350 million trees. Ethiopian Green Legacy, they managed to plant 350 million trees just in one day. The Nature Conservation Land Trust also came on board and they planted, restore and plant over 2 million trees. The recent one, Saudi Greening Initiative, they said we're gonna plant 10 billion trees. New Zealand, 1 billion trees. China, they said they're gonna plant and restore 70 billion trees. Australia, 25 million. Exciting program in South Africa. The president of this country announced that we will plant 10 million trees, which fits amongst those programs globally. But one can ask a question: why does South Africa want to green? They want to green their communities and develop open space. All of us, we know this, the history of South Africa, the South Africa special and planning, that South Africa urban areas continues to be hampered by the legacy of racial segregation, poverty, exclusion, and social and economic opportunity. That's the reason why we want to plant trees, because of those remnants of the past, so that we don't come after 30 years and start to still talk about them, so that we can be able to bridge that particular divide. But how did South Africa come up with that? They developed a national special development 2050. That program, it looks at how do we readdress these into old special planning. Our provincial special came on board, said, no, in our provinces in South Africa, because we've got 8 provinces, we're gonna be able to develop something. Then it goes to a local municipalities where they develop their own special plan and also develop open space master plan, so that we can be able to readdress this, so that each communities that never had will be able to say, how do we address those issues? If you look at this, the picture on that's my far right on top, that Sandton area where it's greener and lushy, and you look on the other, my right hand side, it's your township. At the bottom, you've got informal settlement. And if you're lucky not, if you are lucky not to be on those 3 areas, you will end up being a displaced person where you stay in a shack. These are the issues that we face every single day, and that's the reason why how we should green our spaces will be able to influence and change this particular special planning. If you look at this is still a real way. On the other side, you've got a green lash with golf course. On the other side, you've got a huge informal settlement. And the reason why we want to do that, and if you look at most especially this whole green divide, it's more on the cities. You look at Johannesburg, if you look at Sandton, Parkhead versus Soweto, Alexander, District, there's still a huge green divide. If you look at Tshwane, which is Pretoria, Mooikloof, Linwood, and you look at Soshanguve, Atteridgeville, and Mamelodi, still as brown area. If you go further down to Durban, you've got a suburb like Umhlanga, Balito, which is green. And you look at Umlazi and Kwamashu, they are still brown. If you go to Cape Town, you still look at Camps Bay, Bishop's Court, lavish area, green spaces, a lot of trees. But you look at the Cape Flats, Khayelitsha, Google it, still a challenge. That's where our greening program has to be able to readdress these issues that we face in this country. If you look at this picture, you can look at the picture on the right, the green lashes compared to our township where it is still so brown. This is one of the top suburbs in Johannesburg where you've got amazing Jacaranda Street, and on the other side, there's nothing. But what did we do in Johannesburg particular? We started a program called Greening of Soweto, where we wanted to say, let's bridge that divide between Sandton and Soweto as an experiment to see whether these programs will work well, where we would plant a lot of trees. Our main objective was to change the brown landscape into a green landscape so that the people of that particular community can be able to enjoy the democracy that they've attained in this country. So from having a brown landscape to a greener landscape, and that in greening of Soweto, we managed to bridge that gap. These are the pictures of the trees that were planted in Soweto. And there are some of the parks, a lot of parks that have been built in Soweto where we're trying to bridge that particular green divide. But the tree planting was the main focus to say, if we plant more trees, we will be able to bridge that divide. Look at these trees. You can see now from these trees, most of them were planted in 2010 during the World Cup. We're able to put so much effort where we can be able to realize that somewhere, we are getting there in terms of green divide. While we did that, this project came to a where the president of this country in 2020 said, we will launch the presidential 10 million tree planting in South Africa, where we'll be able to go aggressively plant trees across South Africa in all the provinces. And who are responsible, who should participate? National government, provincial government, local municipality and metros, NGOs and private institutions, so that we can be able to hold this legacy together in terms of planting 10 million trees. But what are we going to plant? We're going to plant indigenous trees in these communities, and also we're going to plant fruit trees. The fruit trees will be for food security, because we know that we're living in a country where there's issues of food security. So we'll be able to put something in this community so that they can be able to enjoy in the near future. And how do we come up that this project can be very different? We went in and said, all of us, we went through COVID-19 in the past 2 years. How do we make sure that people embrace tree planting or greening their community as an important program? What we did is we said every single tree that we're going to plant in our country is going to be tree of hope, where we can encourage, instead of having our municipality goes into communities and plant trees, but we are able to say, let's go and plant trees with the community so that they become part of that. And what we say, every single tree that you plant, think about that person, or think about the impact of COVID-19 that had on you, whether you lost a loved one or you lost a friend. Each tree that you plant in the remembrance of that particular place, so that we can change the perception of greening in our country, so that we can be able to accelerate it very quicker. During COVID-19, we started planting trees where we couldn't see each other while planting trees because we were wearing masks. We went to schools where we want younger generation to start embracing this greening of their schools, greening of their community, so that we can be able to peg this green divide. After COVID, we started taking off masks and we started planting trees. So we plant so many trees in different communities so that we encourage this community, said, let's plant trees of hope. Let's have hope in our country, so that we can be able to bridge the green divide. But also what we did, we wanted young people to come and get involved so that we can be able to do this. This is one of a friend of mine that I planted trees with. Every tree that we plant together, he always pray and said, God, please make sure that we plant more trees, and so that we can plant more trees of hope in our country. But if you work in municipalities, or if you work in the cities, we know that we work in a political space. How do we make sure that we get a political buy-in? Because some of in our country, you realize that and the most important things would be providing housing, providing electricity, providing water. But how about providing quality green spaces? We come up with projects that are being done around the world so that we can be able to reward or to show off to our political principle that this is worth it. We had a Tree in the City challenge hosted by United Nations Economic of Europe, where 16 municipalities in South Africa participated, and all these 16, they were given certificate by UNESCO, which is a great setup for the municipality or for the political office to say, oh, okay, we're getting something about it. Also, we Tree in the City challenge, which is hosted by Abba Day Foundation and FAO, and from the United Nations, and City of Joburg was declared Tree City. So those are the recognitions that politically they can see that, wow, we are doing something, we are getting something with this, because most of them, their mandate is not about greening. But for us to say, how do we make sure that we achieve it? How do we achieve greening? How do we make sure that we bring partners? And we went and sit down and said, why don't we bring reputable partners that can be able to push greening in our country? We went to Nelson Mandela Foundation and said, can we do this together with the Green Development Foundation? These two foundations work together so that we can be able to go to private institutions, so that we can be able to get funds, so that we can be able to achieve this 10 million tree planting. And these two organizations, they are going hand in hand together every single week, so that they can be able to leverage funding to be able to do this. But what are the future greening initiatives? What we have done for us to be in an amazing setup, we said during International Mandela Day on the 16th of August, why don't we do 67 minutes of greening? Why don't we make sure that we plant trees, not only here in South Africa, but internationally, so that we support those global programs of greening that are happening? Said, yes, let's do that. This year we went in, the gentleman on the right is that Nkosi and Mandla Mandela to Madiba's grandson, and on the other side that's the wife of Nkosi Mandela. And we said, let's go to them so that they become the initiator, so that when we do 67 minutes of greening, then we know that we are talking to the royal family, we got the blessing from them, so that we can be able to get everyone across the globe to be able to do that. So that's what we do during Nelson Mandela Day, International Nelson Mandela Day. We'll be able to plant trees in honor of Madiba, so that greening in our country becomes much bigger and bigger and bigger, and also to advocate for other countries so that they can be able to do it. But what are the advices that as South Africans we found while we were greening our communities or planting trees? We realized that you need to develop a very good strategy. It might not be very big thing to do, but you must be able to develop a very good strategy. Assess the resources that you do require. Know that this is where you want. How much money do you need? What other resources you need? Who's gonna plant those trees? Who's gonna look after those trees? Assess the impact you want to achieve with planting program. In South Africa, the greening divide is so big. So our tree planting is to try to bridge that greening divide, so that it must not be seen when we talk in the next couple of years. We mustn't talk about greening divide in South Africa. We'll be able to say, you know what, we have reduced those green divide. If you look at other countries like Melbourne, their tree planting is to reduce the city heating. So ours in South Africa is right now is to say, let's green this community so that they can be green. Develop guidelines on how to planting will be carried out and to achieve the objective. Those are the 4 things that the cities should look at them if they want to achieve greening in their lifetime. We always say it is our challenge, but we need to find solutions. Everything that we do, we need to find solutions. We cannot come in the next 30 years and we still talk about the legacy of apartheid, but we should be able to say we have done something, we've found solution in everything that we do. Our cities need to be green. We owe to the new generation that our cities will be green. As I conclude, there's a couple of quotes that I wanna bring. Open quote. It's that as a tree will blossom only with care and attention, so our countries and our region will blossom and grow from strength to strength. If we care and work hard, as these trees reach for the heaven, let it encourage us always to aim higher and higher in meeting the new challenges which face us. As its branches spread, so may the cooperation between us spread out and embrace the whole region and our continent. That was Nelson Mandela speaking at the Lekgotla Traditional Council in Serowe in Botswana. This means that when we do this whole greening of our communities or greening of our cities, let's not do it on our side. Say, no, I want to green on only my city. Let's spread wings. Let's spread wings across the borders. If we are greening South Africa, let's collaborate with the other countries around Africa. Let's collaborate other countries around the continent. Let's learn the best practices so that greening and issues of garbage change cannot be done by only one country, but it has to be done by all of us at the same time. Today, someone is sitting in the shade because someone has planted a tree long time ago. We have to, that's by Warren Buffett, we have to make sure that we encourage cities to plant trees, cities to green their communities. Last one said, he who planted a tree, hold hope. That's a hope that we have in our country, that if we plant trees, if we green our community, if we build so many parks in our community, we'll be able to bring hope to our community. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Bishop. That was great. We will have time for questions and answers afterwards. Bishop is going to stay with us. So what I'd like to do next is introduce our next speaker, Mr. Arvind Kumar, ISA Special Chief Secretary, Municipal Administration and Urban Development Department, Government of Telangana. Mr. Kumar is a graduate in economics and a postgraduate in management from the Indian Institute of Management, Ahmedabad. He has done masters in public policy from Woodrow Wilson School, Princeton University, USA as a Robert McNamara Scholar, and a course on leadership and globalization from LSE London. As a Chevening Scholar, he has been in the Indian Administrative Service since 1991 and has worked in various capacities at the state level for over 2 decades. From 2009 to 2014, Mr. Kumar worked with the Government of India as Joint Secretary in the Ministry of Finance. Mr. Kumar moved back to the state government of Telangana in January 2015 and worked as the Principal Secretary, Industries and Commerce and Energy Departments. The new industry policy was launched by the state in June 2015. Mr. Kumar is presently working as the Special Chief Secretary, Municipal Administration and Urban Development and Commissioner, Information and Public Relations Department of the Government of Telangana. So over to you, Arvind.
Thanks, Bill. Thanks for the introduction. And without any further delay, I'll start the presentation. First, I'd like to place where Hyderabad is. It's a state capital of Telangana state, which is in the southern part of India. And Hyderabad is among the 5 metro cities of India, is rated as the best city in quality of living index for last 5 years in a row. Considered as among the best cities so far as women's safety is concerned, and is one of the fastest, in fact, last 2 years, it's the fastest growing cities in terms of real estate and commercial establishments. I'll quickly play a video. So we strongly believe in sustainable urbanization, and that greenery is integral to any kind of urban growth which takes place. And so we are aiming for 33% coverage of green cover. We are following the SDGs and economic inclusion so far as greenery is concerned. Follow the 4 models so far as greenery is concerned, which is innovation, initiatives we take, technology being used, and funding which is arranged on a sustainable basis. I'll quickly touch upon them one by one. So the major focus for Telangana has been a scheme called Telangana Ko Harita Haram, which literally means Green Garland to Telangana. And that's been the driving force so far as greenery is concerned. And I'm very proud to say that in last 4 years in the entire state, we have planted about 2.3 billion saplings, and the survival rate is more than 90%. And that's where change is being brought about. This is a scheme which was introduced in 2015, and free distribution of saplings to all households takes place. In fact, all the officers are assigned certain areas to kind of oversee and own them up. And we have seen tremendous improvement, not only in Hyderabad, but in the entire state. In the city, Hyderabad city, we have taken up Miyawaki plantations in a very major way. Drains which are there, we are trying to build rain gardens. There is one photograph which I've just put as a sample. All the flyovers, there have been vertical gardens underneath for all the pillars. And wherever there are open spaces, we are building up theme parks. And that's where a lot of people are coming to, and they are owning up these places. This is Outer Ring Road, which was mentioned earlier briefly. It's about 158 kilometers, circles the city as one comes to the airport, and you have to use Outer Ring Road to come to the city. That was one of the major focus for us for the green effort, what we took. And this is how it looks like. This is the growth in last 4 years. Run through it because we have an idea now. There's another concept which I wanted to bring to the esteemed gathering, that one is Hyderabad city, which is the circle you can see in the middle, which is this circle which runs around Hyderabad city. And this entire area is the Metropolitan Development Authority area. We have what is called 129 urban forest blocks within this Metropolitan Development area. And it is about 160,000 acres of land. We as Hyderabad Metropolitan Development Authority have taken upon ourselves to see that there is intensive greenery taken up in these urban forest blocks. And they range from size of 100 acres to about 5,000 acres per blocks. And these are some of the areas which provide urban lung space, green lung space, weekend getaways. And this also has brought a lot of greenery, sustained greenery around the city, and increase in rainfalls in last few years. These are some of the photographs of urban forest blocks. A very small video which I would like to run through for a moment. These are all located within 50 kilometers radius from the city and perfect getaways for cycling and family time, etc. Another initiative which we have taken up in Hyderabad is, as one of the slides earlier mentioned, that we are city of lakes. And we have taken up an extensive program where we are asking corporates to adopt these lakes for development. So development includes strengthening of bunds, greenery, cleaning of water, and other such measures which make them sustainable, sustainable kind of water bodies. And I put some pictures, and I'm very glad to mention that more than 150 of the biggest lakes of the cities are being taken over by corporates so far as their maintenance and development is concerned. So that's another initiative I thought I would like to mention, because these water bodies were getting degenerated over the years, and we thought the best way is that if someone adopts, so for example, if a company Infosys adopts, their employees come over the weekend, they with a very sense of pride and ownership, they go around, they take the responsibility, they come with their family, and that's where the eco regeneration is taking place. This is a typical lake. I'll just run for 10 seconds to show what it means when I say lake adoption. So basically, there are walking paths around, and there are sitting areas, furniture, etc., etc. Now, we mentioned about technology. We are using drones for extensive afforestation in areas where it's difficult for us to kind of go. Geotagging of saplings to know the mortality. We have our own forest management information system where we closely monitor the progress of these trees. And we have SCADA-based drip irrigation system on the outer ring road, the video which I played a while ago, to see the drip irrigation, and it has led to a lot of savings of water, and also the greening throughout the year so that the maintenance is done. We also have started our own funding for green. It's called Telangana Harita Nidhi, which literally means Telangana Green Fund, where part of the taxes which are levied go in this fund automatically, and this amount is escrowed for the development of green development. Interestingly, in our city acts, in Municipal Act, which was the new Municipal Act of 2019, 10% of every city's budget is earmarked as a green budget, and it necessarily has to be used for the purpose of development of greenery. Likewise, in rural areas, also 10% of every single rural body also is to be earmarked as green budget. Now, this has led to tremendous improvement in greenery, because earlier a lot of these works, this was not a priority. Priority was other items, and it always took a backseat. Now, with earmarked budgeting, earmarked funding, we can see the improvement in last couple of years. It is thus no surprise that we as a state, again, please refer to the dark state in the southern part of India, that shows the maximum positive change since last 3 years. And that's our state, that's Telangana state. And these are Government of India figures. And the effort has been for everyone to see. Hyderabad city, there has been an increase of 147% increase in these last 10 years. It's a decade-long effort, and the forest cover for the entire state has already gone up from 16.7% to about 25%, and we are hopeful we'll take it to 33% in next decade. Thankful to AIPH for selecting Hyderabad, and I must mention that the kind of interest it has generated at the country level, at the all India level, other cities, other local bodies have become very interested, and it's a great motivation for all the green warriors to kind of being recognized, and it will have a tremendous impact at the country level in India. We'll see in coming years. Hyderabad also won the Tree Cities of the World Award for 2021 and 2022. And Government of India has what's called Best Self-Sustainable Cities. We have been getting this award for last couple of years. I try to finish it within my time, and if there are any questions, I'll take it at the end. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Arvind. So we do have some questions coming in, so I'll ask one while I'm waiting to figure that out. Arvind, what was the main thing that triggered the change in focus to this kind of intensive development? Was there a key government decision, a mandate from the citizens? What led to the massive change?
This is Telangana is a new state. It was formed in 2014. In fact, India became a country in 1947, and we are the youngest state, which was formed in 2014. It was carved out of another state called Andhra Pradesh. And when it became a new state, it was considered a dry state, a state of rocks, and a place where not much vegetation is there. That's when our chief minister, who heads the state, decided that we'll make it a green state. And that's where the effort started. So the major effort was a political decision in 2014 that we will turn our state into a green state. And that's where this program called Telangana Ko Haritaharam, Green Garlanding of the state, started in a very, very planned manner. And that's where the funding, escrowing of accounts, involvement of all the stakeholders has started. I think that was the major decision which kind of triggered the green development here.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I've got my Q&A open now. So I have one here for Bishop. In your experience, Bishop, what are the barriers to local implementation at the city level of national commitment to greening, and how might these be overcome to ensure that cities can deliver on these commitments?
Can you repeat that?
Yeah, what are the barriers to local implementation at the city level of the national commitment to greening, and how might these be overcome to ensure that cities can deliver on these type of national commitments?
The biggest barriers are we've got a competitive mandate. If you look at South Africa, to give people water, housing, electricity, those are the most important things. And if you look at funds would be directed more to that compared to greening. But when you've got a political will, when the politician says to you, or the political officer, come up with greening program, you must be so much fast, because you know that tomorrow that money can be channeled to another activity. But when there's so much, like we did in South Africa, when we were told that the president said plant 10 million trees, we quickly jump into it, so that it's still fresh in everyone's mind that about the greening. And also we use COVID to say everyone has been impacted by COVID. Why don't we look at these spaces? If you are aware, in South Africa, during COVID lockdown, we couldn't use open spaces. All our open spaces were closed. But now, because we are developing more, people are starting to embrace them. So competition, political competition is so high. When you've got all these things, you will have to grab it very quickly. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Back to Arvind for another question. The comment is a very impressive number of plants, which it certainly was. It's amazing how much you've been able to plant. So the question is, could you elaborate on the planning process for selection, propagation, growing, preparing such a high quantity of plants to deliver that many to the forestry projects?
Actually, we have a forest department, and which has a social forestry wing, within which, depending upon our agroclimatic conditions, soil conditions, and rainfall conditions, we identified about 30 varieties of saplings and trees which would survive in this kind of atmosphere. And we have one aspect, in fact, I forgot to mention, was that we also have in each city and each of these urban forest blocks and rural areas a nursery where we develop these saplings in-house, because taking over plantation of this size is not possible unless we have enough number of saplings. So for example, in Hyderabad city, I have more than 150 nurseries, which is exclusively taking care of our city. And we have sapling sizes which are ranging from 6 months to about 5 years. And every year before the monsoon, that is March, April, May, we send out these saplings in the field and they are planted. And within a month, when the rains start, which is over a period of 3 months, these trees kind of take shape. And that's where I think it's a very planned process that the entire program starts in January. We start listing on the requirements from various cities, various rural areas, various urban forest blocks, and we start sending the saplings from end of February onwards, and the process goes on till September. And that's where the survival rate is so high that we have 90% plus survival, because natural rains take care of the survival in the process. And the nursery experiment has been extremely useful. We have certain weekly programs where a lot of people come with families, and we take up the distribution of these saplings free of cost. So a lot of people have started kind of asking for a particular variety during this free distribution of saplings also, which is a welcome thing.
Okay, that's awesome. So we had another question about the survival rate, but you just addressed that as well. That's a very, very impressive survival rate, especially for urban areas. Do you have any measurement method that shows how your work has reduced greenhouse gas emissions or carbon sequestration? Is there anything in place that measures the results of the planting?
We have, in fact, we have reached a stage where firstly, we were looking for kind of recognition of how our effort has been. Now that Government of India has documented and recognized the increase in green cover, now we are looking for agencies which will actually look into the aspects, as you mentioned, that how it has led to reduction in carbon footprints, etc. And I will be very keen if AIPH or other agencies can guide us as to credible agencies who can look into this, and we'll be helpful. We'll be very keen to kind of partner with them to know the actual reduction in the process. Okay,
yeah, perhaps that's something we can follow up with you on, because I know there are some initiatives, particularly here in North America, on those kind of measurements. So a question for Bishop then, with the way that Hyderabad set up local community nurseries to produce trees, has there been a similar way of doing things in Africa, or where have the trees come from?
Yes, we most of the municipalities have got community they've got nurseries in the municipality, and also community nurseries, but also they do support local nurseries where they go and buy trees. But what we are doing now, we adopting that, like what Mr. Kumar said, you need to build your own nurseries. We are encouraging municipalities to build their own nurseries, build a stock, let's say a 10-year stock, which they could be able to green. So yes, we are encouraging municipalities to have their own nurseries, but also support local communities that have got local to nurseries, so that we can be able to inject funds for those particular communities. Because if we go in and say, let's build our own stock, and you don't support your local nurseries, then who's going to support them? So we are doing that way. We've got a little bit of our stock, but also supporting our local communities who have got smaller nurseries and also bigger nurseries. Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. For a question, I guess, for both of you, this one's a general question, but what do you think about the blockchain in revolutionizing the agricultural sector? Any comments on anybody using blockchain for the agricultural sector in Africa or India?
I think it's sorry, Bishop, you go ahead first.
No, you go ahead. It's fine. You go ahead.
No, I'm saying it's the call of the day. We can't avoid that, and blockchain is the way to go forward, because the green development, the green revolution in the manner in which we are talking cannot take place alone in a seclusion. It has to be integrated completely with economic needs. It has to be integrated completely with the agriculture requirements, and that's the only way to kind of grow in sync with the environment. I think the blockchain is the answer, and that's where we have to go. And I didn't mention the kind of things which we are doing in syncing with agriculture, but yes, that's the way forward.
I think,
okay. Go ahead, Bishop.
Across the globe, even Africa, where you have to embrace greening and agriculture living together. So you cannot separate them. You have to start embracing and say, let's work together so that we can be able to achieve one objective, which is working with our community and working with our countries. Yes.
Okay. Again, for both speakers, how can greening of private land in cities be encouraged? I noticed, Arvind, you talked about getting trees out to regular households and stuff, but a lot of tree loss in cities is occurring on private land, private property versus city property. So how can greening of private land be encouraged?
So what we are trying to do is that when we give new building permissions, for example, or the new gated communities permissions, that is the layout approval, we call it, we have certain percentage of the total area, which is roughly about 25% of the total layout area, which we are mandating that it has to be developed as a green belt. And so when we give the layout approval, the entire process of development takes place a couple of years. And when the person or when the developer comes back after a couple of years to take what we call the final permission, final layout approval, we insist, we verify whether the green development has taken place or not, and then only the layout approval is given. So as a very planned way, we are saying that every layout, every society, every construction shall have certain percentage as a green belt necessarily. In addition, whenever our infrastructure is taking place, when we are saying our new roads are being laid, we are insisting to our own engineering agencies that both sides of the roads, there has to be a green buffer zone, and which is being taken up in all the new roads which are being taken up. So I would say that we have adopted greenery as a part of infra development, as a part of urban development. And whenever there are individual blocks of apartments or buildings, high-rise buildings, there is certain common area around that which we are developing it into urban forest parks. So that's the lung space for these buildings when they come out in the open. Lakes is something I mentioned earlier, that lake adoption is, we are taking it up in a very major way. And I think that's another area which will encourage green belts by the corporates in the urban development.
Okay, any further comments, Bishop?
Yeah, in South Africa, it was a little bit skewed when we've got new private development. We were very hard on them to say you must put so many trees, you must green so much. But when we develop our new townships, it was never a requirement that you must plant more trees. That's the reason why you see in my pictures the new townships that are being developed are still brown. So now we are putting that effort to say, let's green these communities. Let's make sure that we bridge that green divide. Not only to say the private new development should plant trees or should green their areas, but also in government-led programs, they must be greening also. So those are the things that we're doing.
Yeah, I had a question for Arvind. The landscape of the largest lake in the city is being changed to the upcoming Formula E race as the green cover around the lake is removed. Will that have any adverse effects? And is that like a permanent change or?
Actually, interesting question. The Formula E race track is about 2.8 kilometers and it's right next to the heart of the city, which is the lake, Hussain Sagar Lake. So there are about 100 trees of various ages which are getting affected because we need a required minimum width of the road, which is about 11 meters. And if we include the concrete blocks on both sides, about 12 meters of width is required for the racetrack. So whatever trees we are removing from the racetrack are being transplanted by us. In our next door, there is a nursery by us, and I have the pictures. If I have time, I'll upload right now. Not a single tree is uprooted and is not transplanted. So we have done 100% transplantation, and the process started about a couple of months ago, and the success rate is 100%. So we are ensuring not a single tree is damaged in the process.
That's a great commitment for sure. For Bishop, you spoke about tree planting for food and fruit. How does the community manage shared contribution to this food source and shared benefit from the food?
What we do in most of the communities when we go there, we give them fruit trees so that they plant them in their yards. So in your house, we encourage them to plant trees and those fruit trees, and also we encourage them to start smaller food gardens in their yard. But if there's a community nursery or a community area where they want to do food garden, we do that. We go with them and we give them seedlings, and amongst the communities, they are able to share whatever proceeds that they harvest. But more emphasis is in the houses. They must have fruit tree and a smaller garden, so that if you need cabbage or something, you don't have to go buy. You can actually get it from your house. If you need an orange, you can be able to pick out from, and that differ from our rural areas. If you look at rural areas that are further towards Zimbabwe, in Limpopo, KwaZulu-Natal, they've got fruit trees in their yards. I know in my house where my mother stays, I can just sit underneath a mango tree and pick up a mango tree. But in Johannesburg or in our cities, it's a different ball game. So we are encouraging city dwellers to have fruit trees in their yard, so that we can be able to keep the issues of food security.
Okay, that's awesome. So Arvind, now that Hyderabad has been selected as the grand winner of the AIPH World Green City Awards for 2022, for work you've already done, are the city's green ambitions for the future just as aggressive?
I think, as I was mentioning earlier, that Hyderabad getting the prestigious award is a great motivation for cities around India. And it will go a long way in ensuring sustainable green development in urban areas. And that's where I think I was in Delhi recently, where other cities commissioners also were there. And it was a big discussion point as to what did Hyderabad do to get this award and how other cities can get in future. So I'm saying it has brought a lot of healthy competition, and we will see a positive side in terms of green development in the entire country. And thank you for that.
Terrific. So I think we've answered all of the questions posed in the Q&A. I'm just reading through the chat here as well. So everybody that's on the call knows all of the entrants to the Green Cities Award. There's case studies about all of the winning cities on the AIPH website. So please check that out. Mentioned earlier, please subscribe to the Global Green City Update, because we feature case studies there and relevant and interesting news from around the globe. And I think this is especially important. We have launched the 2024 edition of the AIPH World Green City Awards. And right now we're taking expressions of interest. The portal will open sometime early in the new year. But to find out more, make the expression of interest known to us right away. Just scrolling through here. Yes, something else that just Audrey just posted. We also have an ongoing conversation in the AIPH Green City Forum, which is a special forum that we've launched that is free to access. We're hoping to build a network of green initiative leaders from around the world in that forum, and to be able to have conversations, share case stories, case studies, get questions answered, those kind of activities. So we're really hoping that this builds into something that will be inspiring for many communities around the world. Find out more about the AIPH Green City Awards on the website, as mentioned. And I think I can, at this point, I think I've covered every question. So I'll turn it back over to Frankie to close her up.
Thank you very much, Bill. And thank you to our speakers for today. Absolutely inspiring to hear about the integration of nature into our urban environments and the power of creating those connections with communities and partnerships. The result from our poll earlier showed that 83% of our audience were directly aware of the power of plants in green city spaces, and 17%, the remaining 17%, knew of good examples, which is just brilliant to hear. To continue sharing knowledge, do join us on the 6th of December as we hear from incredible examples of living green for climate change. In the meantime, as Bill just mentioned, we have the forum, the Global City Update, and you can also find us on LinkedIn and Twitter. Thank you once again to our speakers. Those talks were really fascinating. I'd also like to thank our sponsor, the Worshipful Company of Gardeners, and Expo Doha. Thank you once again for joining AIPH in these Green City briefings, and we look forward to seeing you at the next in December. Goodbye.
You are a seed, the beginning of a new awareness, a new global movement. You have life in you. Share it, spread it, bring your thoughts and skills. Make it all fruitful. Tomorrow brings challenges and opportunities. Grow. Grow the resources to embrace science and experience for global sustainability. Grow the tools and use technology to cultivate a new and better future together. Grow the knowledge to reconnect to nature and promote a greener development. Grow the balance between local and global, planet and people, today and tomorrow. Growth starts with you. Welcome to Expo 2023, Doha, Qatar. Qatar has the perfect conditions for this growth to take roots. From Doha, we can grow a green desert and a better environment. Our Expo site consists of 3 main areas designed to host, gather, and inspire. Together we can sow the days of tomorrow for everyone to enjoy, everywhere. We are expecting you on the 2nd of October 2023. One Expo site, consisting of 3 character areas, is growing now to welcome you in 2023 to the future of horticulture. You are the seed and the movement that will gather the world in Qatar. Together in Doha, We will grow a green desert for a better environment.